Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have something extremely exciting for you today. This is the favorite game of StarCraft 2 I have ever played, and I have a co-commentator. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be keeping it simple today because with me is one Cam Joke Watson who has never played a single minute of StarCraft 2. Cameron, how the hell are you?
Pretty good right now, Wiley.
Okay, so what is this game, you're asking? It's a 2v2 played on the retro map Lost Temple. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the hell is Lost Temple? Well, we'll get to that in a second. First, let me introduce the teams as well as the players. So, spawning in the bottom left corner, playing Terran in the green, it is me, Savagewood. Spawning in the top right corner of Lost Temple is my ally, Cliff the Pro, aka Deception. Now, on the other team, spawning in the top middle of Lost Temple is Spencer, Elusive Smoke, the person that I play 2v2s with in the popular series Cheese Pizza. And spawning in the bottom middle of Lost Temple, a Ramp, aka Rampy, who was in the last 3v3 video that I uploaded. So some familiar faces going on in this game. Now, one of the things that I want to focus on this game is strategy, because StarCraft 2 is really not even an RTS if we're going to be completely honest. It's just a mechanic slugfest. It's about how quick can you do what you want to do. Honestly, it's all about mechanics. Everything else is irrelevant. You can have the coolest strategy in the world, and if you're shit at executing it, doesn't really matter. But on this map, Lost Temple, we have a very interesting feature. And that is this high ground that overlooks this natural expansion. Now, normally in StarCraft 2, the natural expansion is incredibly easy to get. You can really get it without it ever being contested. However, on this map, this high ground is incredibly advantageous for the Terran player. So, this is going to be very interesting because in this game, it's going to be less about mechanics and more about strategy. Now, since Cameron's new to StarCraft 2, this is going to be like the ELI 5 version of StarCraft. I'm going to be explaining things in a very noob-friendly way. We're not going to get drugged down in the deep details of strategy. We're going to focus more on the broad concepts of what are the players doing and why is it being done, and why are the other people reacting to it as such. So, as we see from our Terran player Savagewood, that's me, we have a quick double gas, which means tech, as opposed to early units or early expand, and a factory coming down. Now, Rampy's Overlord is going to go ahead and scout this. We're going to go to his vision, and he sees this factory, as well as the tech lab, and he sees the lift. So to Aaron, this screams tank drop. This absolutely means that this high ground is going to be under peril, and subsequently, so is this base. So, it being a team game, it's going to be very interesting to see how Spencer, right here in the pink, is going to help Aaron. Is he going to forsake Aaron and say, look, idiot, I'm not going to help you, it's not worth my time and resources, because then Cliff could come hit me? Or is he going to say, I know it's very hard for you to defend, so I'm going to help you? So that'll be, as we progress in the game, that will be very interesting to see. Now, Cliff has opted for more of a delayed gas, which means he has gotten another base up, which will give him more money, and it also means that he'll have more units, because he's opted for this double barracks play as well as the bunker. So, Rampy's Overlord here really needs to stay put right here, because he knows this tank drop is on its way. And you might say, Wiley, if I had a co-caster, and the reason I'm not really throwing it over to Cameron very much is this is all very in-depth strategic stuff that he wouldn't understand. We're about to get to the play-by-play, which is where I'll throw it to him. So this early starport coupled with the early tank is out for me, and this is going to be the money maker as the speed boost goes on, and this, let's see if Control F works. Herp. Okay, there it is. We're going to see if this medevac is successful in its attempt to drop on the high ground and siege. So, Spine crawler coming up here for Aaron, but Marines are on the high ground shooting the spine. We have an overlord to spot, but it's going to go down very soon, and it looks like the spine crawler will perish. Now, if Aaron loses this overlord, he can't see anything up here. If we go to his vision, he can't hit any of this because he can't see it. So right now, Aaron is in deep shit. This base is under siege. He has to stop mining. He's pretty boned. Now, Spencer, I'm sorry. Cameron, strategically, what do you think about this tank drop?
I think I love it. Terran.
He loves it. Cameron loves his Terran, loves his big black droopy D. Guilty of both. Now, if we go back to Camp Spencer, because clearly if this is going on over here, Spencer's got to be doing good stuff, right? Well, he's adding a dark shrine, and he has a robotics facility, so I would be very surprised to see Spencer do something other than the Dark Templar drop, which is an incredibly potent move, as we see these Marines douching over up back onto this high ground. Now, there is another tank drop going on this ledge. Now, the Protoss has a much easier time dealing with this because of the way their units work. The Protoss units, they have the mothership core, which allows the Nexus to be overcharged and it to be used basically as a big cannon, and this is the spotting mechanism, and right there the tank drop is stopped. However, this is bad for Aaron. Looks like he's finally going to clean this up, but Aaron has sustained severe damage because of this base has been unable to mine. All these drones have been idle, and subsequently Aaron has lost all the money that he should have been gaining. Now we see Spencer is about to execute his Dark Templar drop. Now, if you don't know what Dark Templars are, basically they're a really douchey, annoying unit in StarCraft 2 that are invisible, and they just tear shit up. I mean, these things basically one-shot workers. They're a huge pain in the ass to deal with, and you can't see them. They're invisible unless you have detection. So this first Dark Templar is going to destroy these workers, limiting Cliff's income. What do you think about this move, Cameron?
Seems like a pretty smart move, I think. I like the 3-star Dragon Ball for their logo.
It very well is a good move. As you see this Dark Templar wailing away at the Marauders, Cliff barely just got enough energy to scan, and he's losing very many SCVs. As you see, he's had the pull here, but you know, the pull it's not only hurt his income because of his lost SCVs, but it's hurt him overall because of the lost mining time. Now we see a scan going down, which temporarily reveals the Dark Templar, and this Dark Templar will fall. However, there is another one in the natural. Looks like it just got cleaned up. And if we look back in Camp Aaron, the siege tank is still here being annoying. However, it's not close enough to this side of the ledge to put the minerals in peril. So that's something to note. So Aaron is still very much being harassed. This gas geyser is unable to be used. And we have a little cutesy zealot action from Spencer going on over here. Now basically, those zealots were to prevent this expansion from going down. If you were to ask me, Spencer's about to come over here with these Dark Templars and stop this expansion from going down. Or he could just be cute with them in the main. Actually, if we go to his vision, he doesn't even know about the island base just yet. So the Dark Templars are going to be dropped here, and a turret is here, and turrets provide detection. So I can see these Dark Templar without scanning. And he's going to go ahead and drop one out right there to prevent my base from being landed. And it looks like he's going to come over here and deny this base. Strategically, Cameron, what do you think about the denial of this base with these Dark Templar? It's a good move, don't you think?
I like the Dark Templar.
I mean, I agree with you.
They seem pretty OP, honestly, actually.
I would be inclined to agree with you. As you can see, Spencer's done tremendous damage with very few units. And he's done a very good job of harassing in a lot of different locations. As we see a drop coming in for Cliff, these two medevacs will heal his units as well as drop them off in Spencer's base. Huge damage being dealt for Spencer. This mineral line is just being decimated. This is a lot of money that Spencer's losing right here. Very slow reaction times. He's focusing on this drop over here. This is one of, Cliff gets the Dark Shrine. That's big. That's the building that requires, that Spencer needs to produce Dark Templar. So now until he rebuilds it, he can't build any more Dark Templar. So this Nexus might go down, and if it does, it's big, but Cliff's focus is a little sloppy. And these are High Templar who can storm, and as you can see, the storm just absolutely decimates him. We have a battle going on over here as Aaron tries to run some lings in to Cliff the Pro's base. However, I'm going to come here Sandusky style and shove my big floppy down Aaron's throat and clean up the ling attack. Now Spencer sustained pretty severe damage, losing all of his workers. Now this means Spencer's going to have a lot less income, because with less workers you get less money. So Spencer really took a lot of damage there and lost his important Dark Shrine building, which was providing him a lot of pressure on the other side of the map. Now, as we can see, Spencer's Dark Templar is still at this island, preventing anything from being landed, which is incredibly intelligent, I might add. Aaron going ahead and spreading this creep. How do you feel about this filthy creep?
I can't fucking stand the bugs, the
Zerg?
creepy ass, yeah.
He doesn't like it, guys.
Creepy, all biologically waste-ridden.
How do you feel about this? Okay, don't answer that because we have a drop going in the base of Spencer. Cliff the Pro, known for his drop play. Spencer's multitask suffering a little bit here as we see his army chugging up the ramp, but Spencer loses a gateway, loses that warp prism. Looks like he's going to lose more buildings. Fires up this photon overcharge, basically turning his main mining building into a cannon. Loses another gateway. Cliff the Pro stimming here, doing tremendous damage. And Spencer's going to go ahead and clean it up with a nice sloppy Psy Storm. Meanwhile, we see my army moving out on the Zerg creep. Now basically you see these scans going down. It reveals these little tumors. Tanks being sieged. Marines destroying mutas. You never ever want to fight mutas straight into Marine because the muta are so squishy and they're very expensive, and the Marines are very inexpensive. So this tank is being Billy Badass and pounding away at the Zerg army. And right now these scans are clearing the creep tumors, limiting Rampy's vision. This little tower, if you look, this is my vision right now. See how it provides this little circle of vision? So these towers are important to control. Now, I'm getting flanked by two armies here. This is not good. Stem going down, tank being annihilated, Zealots charging forward. Jim Raynor's trying to kite. Looks like he's going to try to pick off Templar. Spencer smartly merging the two High Templar before they get picked off. Now these High Templar, they do those storm attacks that do the big AoE flashy damage. Spencer really needs a lot of High Templar to clean up Cliff's drops. Cliff has been a huge pain in the ass to Spencer, constantly dropping him, just making it very annoying for Spencer to split up his armies in multiple locations. Now we see Aaron's army here with Zerglings, which are very fast fighting units, and Mutalisks, which are also fast fighting units. There's not a lot of beef to this army though. If he can't really fight my army head on because the tanks provide so much splash and the Marines are so powerful. So he really needs to morph some of these Zerglings into Banelings, which are basically like rolling suicide bombers that do tremendous splash damage. Now we see Cliff here moving forward with his army. It looks like, if you were to ask me, he's going to load stuff up into his medevacs and drop down. High Templar using its feedback ability, dealing damage based on energy. Spencer once again casting Photon Overcharge on his Nexus. Huge storms going down. Look at that damage. Rampy's army coming in to clean up, and the mutas here mean that a pickup might be futile. Aaron needs to focus these medevacs, and he does. Cliff the Pro possibly overextending. Spencer's storms doing tremendous damage, coupled with Aaron's flank, actually provided a really nice cleanup for that attack. Now if we look back in Camp Rampy, this is, remember those Banelings I was talking about, those deadly suicide units. This is his Baneling's nest. If he loses this, he can't make Banelings. And Mutas harassing the main of Savagewood. Savagewood moving his army up into his main, but this is some great harass by Rampy. This starport is crucial. However, Aaron not looking at his mutas, losing most of them. Those are expensive, and only being on 2 mining bases with the third coming up, actually just finished not even mining. Aaron doesn't really have the economy to afford throwing away those mutas, because essentially he's losing units that cost 100 minerals and 100 gas for nothing, because the Marines only cost 50 minerals each, and can trade them with the mutas easily. Baneling nest going down there, that's huge. Aaron relocating his drones. In the Spire, if it goes down, it's bad news bears, because the Spire provides the ability to make these mutas, which is a linchpin of Aaron's army. Now we see a signature Cliff the Pro move here with a drop. Now Spencer spots this with his invisible observer. Now do you think this drop is going to do good damage, Cameron?
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean,
I think it should.
we've seen Cliff's drops do damage in the past, regardless of whether they're getting spotted or not. And Cliff shredding these drones. Aaron already with limited income, just getting absolutely decimated by Cliff's drop. And just like that, Cliff picks up. And if he's smart, he'd drop on this high ground, but he's going to go after the probes, which isn't a bad idea. And he's going to start shredding those. Spencer pulling, which is smart, and activating Photon Overcharge. But Cliff the Pro, I mean, this medevac is full of Steven Seagals. Every one of these is like its own individual little hero. I mean, this is like, remember Arnold and Predator? That's this guy. This guy's like, this guy right here, he's like the main character from Knocked Up. I mean, each one of these guys is a fucking hero. Look at drones being decimated. Cliff the Pro, playing exceptionally well, has only lost one Marine. However, he needs to drop these Marines off, or these Mutalisks are going to kill this dropship. And that dropship does fall, meaning all the units inside it die, and the Mutalisks clean up the drop. But however, considering it was only one dropship, he probably killed 20 drones, which is Aaron's almost entire economy. So we fire up the units tab. Rampy has 38 drones. That was a tremendous loss on Aaron's economy. Now, if we're going to flip back to production, 3-3 attack upgrades being researched for each Terran player, and Savagewood, that's me, is going to move forward with this Marine tank mix. This is a more potent mix. Cliff the Pro featuring more of a Marine Marauder, more of a mobile army, but hold that thought. Tanks being sieged up, Marines being stemmed, Mutalisks being killed. Aaron's kind of coming in, all Sean Avery, sloppy seconds. Banelings coming, wasted on tanks, however. You don't want to use those Banelings on tanks, they're very expensive. The army is cleaned up, however, with the flank from Spencer, and yet another Terran army is thrown away. However, Aaron lost a lot. Those Banelings cost gas, which are the more valuable resource as opposed to the minerals. So we see a drop coming in here for Cliff the Pro, killing what I believe was a cybernetics core here for Spencer. This means Spencer is going to be limited to High Templar and Zealots only. So Spencer is incredibly limited in the unit composition that he can use. And Aaron has just not, he's lost so many Mutalisks due to sloppy micro, and he can't really afford it. So we see 6 gates up for Spencer, and that's not really enough because he has a lot of money. He's not really able to adequately spend his money. We've seen Spencer do an incredible job dealing with the harass. Do you recall the tank drop that Spencer defended easily?
Yeah.
Earlier in the game? And then Cliff's drop, he pulled his probes away and used the Photon Overcharge. Spencer has done an incredible job dealing with the drop. Aaron, however, has suffered more, maybe being focused out a little bit more. So what we really need to see from Spencer is some money units. He really needs to help Aaron out here because right now Aaron is suffering. Aaron is really being picked apart here. He's almost like he's getting picked on by 2 different people. And we see more Mutalisks into... Oh, hold up, Banelings rolling into infantry, absolutely decimating the Terran army. However, Cliff the Pro not really showing Aaron his full hand. Aaron uses all of his Banelings, and then surprise bitch, Cliff has a whole nother army waiting in the wings. Now once again, Aaron is kind of rolling out of steam here, not really able to accumulate the gas that he needs. This one base doesn't really cut it. Aaron has, remember, whenever Aaron loses these mutas, it's hard to replace them. He doesn't have a lot of excess money to work with, so whenever he makes a mistake, it really hurts him more than it normally would. Now Cliff's army is in the middle of the map here, and if this gets caught out by the Zerg army with the Banes, it could be really ugly for our pro Cliff. However, we do see Spencer is taking this island base. He ferried these units over with this warp prism. Good play. And we see a Marine army coming forward, killing a building. A little drop with the use of a medevac. And Aaron is finally getting a good amount of mutas up. And Cliff is taking this base. We see our friend Savagewood is taking this base. It's a planetary fortress. This is a base that shoots. And these are turrets. So there's no way in hell this thing's dying. So right now we're kind of at an impasse. This is a great move by Spencer. Cliff is having to scan. If we go to Cliff's vision, that's my vision. If we go to Cliff's vision, he can't see this High Templar up here because it's on a high ground, similar to the tanks up here. And if we jump back to my base, we see Aaron harassing with mutas, killing medevacs. Great job by Aaron. This is what Aaron should have been doing all game. However, he will be chased off by the incredibly cost-efficient Marine Ball. Now back to what I was saying. This is an incredible play by Spencer because see how this unit has 10 kills? This is because of Spencer's impeccable positioning. Because this High Templar, if we go to Spencer's vision, can see everything around him because he's on a high ground. So whenever Cliff comes jewing around over here, he's going to get his ass stormed from nowhere, seemingly. This is a great move by Spencer. This is what I love about Lost Temple. Provides a lot of strategic areas that are really, really nice as far as strategy versus macro goes. Now we see another Marine tank push from Savagewood. Banelings and Lings coming for it. Siege tanks in position. Banelings decimating the Terran army. Medevac here containing a tank. It gets dropped. Savagewood sieging up the tanks here. And even though the Banelings had incredible hits, Aaron possibly could have used some help from Spencer. Hold that thought. Maybe because Spencer is being annihilated by another impeccable cliff drop. It just doesn't get any better than this, folks. Speed Zealots charging forward. Take it away, Cameron. What do you see? Just describe.
There's a lot of going on. It's very, very confusing to layman's eyes.
What about that storm? That was a good storm, yeah.
That did look like a very good storm, yeah. I like this army.
The Protoss army in all of its might with Spencer's impeccable High Templar control, just throwing storms on everything. It's beautiful. Now, we do see, once again, that Marine tank push surging forward, being taken out by the Baneling Muta army. However, with the good trading, sure, the Terran player lost everything, but it's a more replenishable army. Mutiling Bane is much more expensive than the Terran Marine Marauder, the Marine Tank Ball. So, that's something to keep in mind when you see these big engagements. So, if we look in Camp Spencer, he's out of money in his main, out of money in his natural, and he's mining over here at his island base. So the players are starting to run thin, and the Spencer army is mighty. The Savagewood army needs to flank this because Cliff is going to get decimated by these storms. An incredible tool of Protoss arsenal. We can see Savagewood here sieging tanks, trying to trap the Protoss army. Spencer needs to get out. And we see a drop going on here. More Mutalisks being traded away. This is bad for Rampy. And once again, our Terran players are utilizing their medevacs to out-multitask their opponents. Rampy has been focusing on defense as opposed to attacking, and it's kind of let the Terrans do whatever the hell they want, to be completely frank. Now, once again, we see these high grounds being taken advantage of. This tank, boom, boom, killing Banelings. Spencer using the High Templar to kill the medevac. However, this tank is still here. Tanks can't shoot up. So this tank is going to fall. It's expensive, and it does. It dies. These two tanks also in peril. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that the key to the Marine tank medevacs is the fact that it's all one cohesive unit. If it's just the Marines or just the tanks, just the medevacs, it blows. So there, finally, Savagewood waking up and surging his Marines forward. Another thing to keep in mind, to the untrained eye, what you see Marines and tanks. And these are SCVs, these are mining units. At this point, it's so late in the game that none of the players, or everyone's running so low on money. So I'm just going to sacrifice those. Because even though it looked like a horribly cost inefficient trade, I'm like, I don't have any, there's no money left to mine, honestly. So if we go back to our attack, Aaron has made a swarm host, which occasionally provides forth free units. Now the Protoss army is surging forward here. Big, filthy storm going on into the Marines. Mutiling Bling coming from this side. Gonna kill the tank. Gonna kill the Marines. Banelings here, not really hitting much of the Marines because of the tanks on the high ground. Talk about these tanks, Cameron.
Gotta love those tanks. They're
big stem coming forward here through. Sorry to interrupt. Big stem coming forward from Deception D. We need to see some big sloppy storms here. High Templar are being decimated from these tanks on the high ground. These tanks are really the money makers of this double Terran army. These tanks are so hard to get to. With this army pressing forward into this area, it is incredibly hard to push up and fight against it when these tanks are berating you from an area that can't be hit easily. Now we see the singular mining base for our Protoss player Spencer is going to be dropped by Savagewood, the Benny Hill Zerg, as they are being contained from the front. More tanks. This High Templar, big storm. Drones are about to be sacrificed from Aaron, just like the SCVs from earlier. And another big storm coming down. We see more tanks smashing forward, and this drop is probably going to kill the Nexus. Spencer doesn't really have the ability to warp in there with no pylon. Mutiling Bling coming forward. Aaron getting tremendous hits on the Marine Marauder force, killing the tank. Now it looks like Spencer is going to come in too in 1 second. He has to be wary of these tanks though. They're heroes. Big storm. Basically our Terran players don't want to fight off these hero tanks. This high ground really providing an incredible way to fight for our Terran players. Now Cameron, strategically what the Terrans want to focus on is not getting stormed to death and not taking bad fights. So, because the Terran can pick up and drop all day, see how this base is gone, more reinforcements coming in, this base is gone. Essentially all we have to do is not piss away our entire army, we being Cliff and I. So Cameron, why don't you walk us through what you see here as far as units goes?
Like the units themselves?
Yes, like
I see those badass tanks.
The tanks. This one
kicking ass and taking names.
42 kill tank. That is incredible. And finally we're seeing a tank spread here from the Benny Hill Zerg Savagewood. And this is so Spencer can't come in and throw one storm down and kill all the tanks. Now Aaron basically resigned to the fact that he knows he's useless and out of money, is sacrificing his overlords to see the grand scope of things. What do they have? Because they don't really know. Look, if we go to their vision, they don't know. They can't see. So that's why he sent those overlords here. This is great by Cliff. Running around with this medevac, picking off important tech structures. This basically just ensures that 40 banelings aren't going to come up and annihilate everything. So this is what I'm talking about. Just picking stuff off. It's extremely intelligent. This is what should be done. Now Spencer is trying to accumulate an army that can deal with this. However, at this point he's basically alone. Aaron, due to just game circumstances, is almost completely eliminated at this point. He's really only here in spirit, and as we can see, another drop. Spencer being really cute with a warp prism. This kind of goes along the same lines as a big filthy storm goes down and kills that medevac. What Spencer needs to do is take smart, cost-effective engagements using storm. That's what he has to rely on. Well, what the Terran players have to rely on is picking them apart with drops and not getting their whole army stormed. Now, ideally for the Terrans, Spencer would come down right here and fight into these tanks. Now, another good thing about see, this is brilliant. Spencer has loaded his High Templar, his Storm guys, up into this Warp Prism, and it makes it incredibly hard for the Terran player to kill because this Warp Prism can run away, but when it drops these High Templar out, the High Templar can storm. It's like guerrilla warfare. It storm, drops, and then runs away. However, as the guerrilla warfare is going on, Cliff has dropped his forces in Spencer's main, and this is going to be a big decision point for Spencer. Looks like Spencer's going to elect to retreat to his base, but Cliff has killed a lot here. Cliff has basically crippled Spencer. Spencer is basically not going to be able to reproduce this magnificent army. Big, filthy storms annihilating the Terran army going down there. Now, at this point, Spencer, he doesn't have many buildings left because Cliff has been dropping him so relentlessly. So he has a lot of High Templar, which is his, as I've been saying, and this is really what it comes down to. This is Spencer's ace in the hole. These High Templar. And Spencer's micro, which in StarCraft is how you control your units. Drop being annoying, like I said, and being dropped back on this high ground to heal up. And Spencer with his trademark Warp Prism with the High Templar, I would guess he's gonna try to come over here and get some storms up on this high ground. And Spencer, he knows, okay, I'm gonna have to move forward at this point. I've delayed enough. There's really no amount of micro that's going to be able to, like, basically it's the longer I wait, the worse it gets type of situation. So Spencer, he's setting up, he's getting everything hotkeyed, he's positioning everything the exact way he wants, because this is it. You know that Eminem song, you only get one shot, do not miss your chance to go?
Lose yourself?
Yeah, lose yourself. This is Spencer's one opportunity. He only gets this one shot. And you know, he might have some vomit on his sweater as this forge gets destroyed by another drop. Mom spaghetti. And once again, Spencer, I feel like he's lost hope almost at this point. Because he's being picked apart by drops, and hold that thought, Spencer with some spectacular micro. Another one of those trademark High Templar drop onto the army. He's taking his little edges where he can get them and being brilliant in general as far as micro goes. Now, the problem is Spencer has to engage into this, and these hero tanks up on this high ground are really going to shoehorn him as far as successfulness of engagement. Here we go, the deciding fight. Tanks pounding away on the Zealots. Cliff's army being stemmed. Big floppy storm going on. 2 more storms missing. Storms going on to the spread tank. Storms going on to the army. Storms going on to everything. Everything is dying for our Terran players. Just incredible from Spencer. However, a mixture of 2 tremendous armies as well as the tanks are going to clean this up for Spencer. And if we open up the production tab, as we already have, Spencer knows it's over. Knows he can't make anything. The Manor Mule coming down from Cliff. This is a diss, Cameron. This means leave the game, it's over. This is a diss. So no amount of micro is going to be able to get Spencer out of this one. He played his heart out, but the multitask from Cliff, as well as the early tank pressure that Aaron suffered from, is just gonna do him in ultimately. Everyone in this game played their heart out, but it's just over. Spencer is pretty much broke. He's not mining anything. He doesn't have infrastructure because of the drops. He's essentially been picked apart in GG. The Cliff the Pro Wiley team wins it all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy, Phil Steppen, with my compatriot, Cam Joke Watson. Cam Joke, sign us out. Say something final that'll put a nice little bow on top of the cast.
Terran. All day, every day.
There you go.
That was a joke.
Rate the video.